All right, well, hello and welcome to this taping of the 4 and 3 podcast. If you're new to this is what we're doing. We're just recording our podcast right now, and just you get a live behind the scenes look at that. So, all right, so a lot coming up. I mean, we've got aliens, Trey. We've got Fauci's got a book on truth. Just going over well.
Somehow I just knew Fauci would end up with a book out of this. I mean, it's just kind of like everybody gets a book, you know?
Everybody gets a book. You would think you would have learned the lesson from Cuomo, but I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess at least in Fauci's defense, he kind of waited until the pandemic was kind of on the tail end.
Yeah, it's on the tail end.
Whereas Cuomo thought that he would talk about how fantastic he is at leadership while he's in the middle of trying to lead. And we all saw how that went.
Yeah, we climbed the mountain, we went over the mountain, and then it just went whoop, right back up. So that didn't work.
I forgot about that
well
poster. If anyone remembers the poster he made.
How could we forget?
That was real bad.
Very bad, very bad. Oh man. All right, let's fire this thing up. I'm gonna kick this thing off here because we got a lot to get into. So here we go. Stand by.
Faithwire.com.
Well, hello and welcome to 4 and 3, a podcast breaking down 4 of the most important stories of the day and 3 things you need to know about them, all from a Christian perspective. Today's Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. I'm Dan Andros. Coming up on the podcast today, Dr. Fauci lands a book deal just as a batch of his emails were released and made public. The details there. Plus, Obama predicts there could be new religions on the way while discussing UFOs. And a new video that pro-abortion activists are not going to like one bit. We'll tell you why. And West Virginia is giving away guns on Father's Day as a COVID-19 vaccine incentive. We'll have the details on these stories and more, as always, with Trey Goins-Phillips from Faithwire.com. Trey, how's it going today, sir?
Good. Hey, I mean, it's like, so new religions, guns,
yep,
COVID. I mean, there's just a lot going on in the world today.
A lot going on, and I mean, never a dull moment. I mean, we all thought 2020. No. I mean, remember, like, it seems like a distant memory that we all joked that 2020 was like, 2020, that's crazy. It just seems, I don't know, 2021 doesn't seem any, it seems like we've upped the ante.
I know, I think that's what it is. It's like 2020 kind of set a new bar for crazy.
Yeah.
So we have to surpass it each year. So, I mean, that can't bode well for 2022.
No.
If we have to surpass the craziness of 2021,
I know. I think the joke that I heard, I think the joke that I heard that makes the most sense is everyone's like, oh, 2020, you know, they'd say how bad it was, blah, blah, blah. That was the joke. But then 2021 was like 2020, then WON, 2021. And then, you know, 2022 is going to be part 2. So, and then on and on it goes. So,
you know what I just happened to realize is that next year is 2022, which means midterm elections. I just don't want to. I would be happy if we could just not have elections, but
well,
I mean, I'm glad we have elections. But,
yes, indeed.
The politics of it is no fun.
Right. The places that don't have elections, that's like, Venezuela or, Syria, where, Assad's winning 99% of the vote, winning. So we could have that. It wouldn't be fun either. So. And then we wouldn't even
I would much rather have the elections
about it. Yeah, then we're at least free to joke about it for now.
Right.
All right, let's go into story number 1. And as COVID cases are plummeting, the vaccine is, by all accounts, working. 62.8% of adults have had at least 1 dose of the vaccine. We're down to under 15,000 cases daily nationwide. And remember, this is all as just 2 months ago, the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, broke into tears and said she feared impending doom. And that was even coming off of a massive drop after the holiday spike that we had. But it's only continued to go down since then, as have deaths. Dr. Anthony Fauci, meanwhile, he's remained in the limelight, and he's taken every opportunity he can to speak to the press, do interviews, and just be out there on camera all the time. And now, just like Governor Andrew Cuomo, he's landed a book deal, and the book is scheduled to launch this fall, and it's titled Expect the Unexpected: 10 Lessons on Truth, Service, and the Way Forward. Republican Rep. Andy Biggs of Arizona said Fauci is, quote, profiting from the pandemic, and Governor Cuomo was similarly criticized when he launched his book on leadership during the middle of the pandemic, only to later have, of course, the massive scandal unfold as he covered up thousands of deaths at nursing homes in order to make his response and his pandemic response look better. Fauci is launching this book on truth, and it's particularly interesting given he admitted to lying about masks early on and has flip-flop positions on many things. But he had lied about the masks, and admittedly so, and said, well, he didn't want to have a run on the masks so that the healthcare workers couldn't get their hands on any. So what else can we expect in the book? Well, Fauci, quote, shares the lessons that have shaped his life philosophy, offering an intimate view of one of the world's greatest medical minds, as well as universal advice to live by. So if you're looking for life advice from Dr. Fauci, well, this book is for you. Fauci is, as some have pointed out, the highest paid federal employee, making more than even the president at $417,000 a year. It should be noted that Fauci, he doesn't need this book deal for money. He doesn't even really need the government salary for money. I mean, he's already a doctor. He's already high profile. We didn't know him until this pandemic hit, but he was very well known in medical circles. And so he could make millions of dollars going on TV as a pundit, or just doing speeches at places, so it's really more about the profile for him and about being in the limelight, it would seem. So, but this book comes in the midst of a batch of Fauci emails getting dumped into the public sphere. Among the revolutions include there's a ton of them. I mean, these emails cover, I think, about a 6-month span here from the early days of the pandemic all the way through the summer. And he dismissed claims that he was being muzzled by Trump. So there's a lot of emails on this, which is interesting because the press was saying like, oh, Trump is muzzling Fauci, but you could see Fauci's replies. In one of them, he said, when he was asked by a colleague about it, he said, please stay silent. Don't say anything about this. I have not been muzzled. I will be on multiple TV shows tomorrow, and was on Fox this AM. No one is censoring me. So he had a lot of inquiries on that. Why were people thinking of it? Because the news was reporting it, that he was being muzzled. So that one was clearly fake news. But Fauci also received an email from Dr. Peter Daszak, who is the president of EcoHealth Alliance. That's the same group that many have accused the NIH of using as a go-between to fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. Dr. Fauci says, we didn't fund it, but it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, well, government funding's not going to abortions. How did they get around that? Because we're sending millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood. And it's like, oh, well, that's going to the mammogram. So it's kind of one of those deals. The money sort of, gets fuzzy onto, they can say it's going to other places. But the fact of the matter is we funded EcoHealth Alliance, and then EcoHealth Alliance in turn then funds this gain of function research at the Wuhan lab. So back on April 18th, 2020, Daszak wrote an email thanking Dr. Fauci for dismissing the lab leak theory. He wrote, as the PI, person of interest, on the ROI grant publicly targeted by Fox News reporters at the press briefing last night, I just wanted to say a personal thank you on behalf of our staff and collaborators for publicly standing up and stating that the scientific evidence supports a natural origin for COVID-19 from a bat to human spillover, et cetera, and just goes on to just, praised Dr. Fauci for saying this and saying it was brave. Fauci responded by saying many thanks for your kind notes. And of course, Fauci has since flip-flopped on this issue and has softened his stance on the Wuhan lab leak theory. And there really never was any evidence confirming one way or the other where this thing went. And everybody was dismissing this theory as a conspiracy theory, as we've covered. The emails also revealed he had urgent, time-sensitive discussions at the outset of the virus in regards to gain-of-function research. Very interesting emails. It's you could take these a number of ways, but it was on his mind in the early days of this pandemic. So we'll see. There's a lot of emails to go through, so it's only a matter of time before his comments on that he made in congressional testimony are lined up with his comments in the emails, and we'll see how they compare. So what's the left saying? Well, Molly Jong Fast said Democrats want to investigate the January 6th, while the GOP wants to investigate Fauci. CNN said that thousands of emails from Fauci, quote, reveal the weight that came with his role as a rare source of frank honesty within the Trump administration. What's the right saying? The right says the Fauci emails just show that Fauci consistently took the path of least resistance, downplaying the Wuhan lab leak theory, flip-flopping on masking, etc. That was Ben Shapiro. Senator Rand Paul said, told you, in a short tweet, and said, can't wait to see the media try to spin the Fauci FOIA emails. Stephen Miller wrote, worth noting that Zero Hedge was suspended from Twitter for a piece that was being discussed and taken seriously among the heads of NIH and Fauci. So why does it all matter? Trey, well, there's going to be a lot of spin on this both ways. And, a lot of them certainly, they don't look good. There's a lot of it where he's just obviously just trying to handle the pandemic, and that's fine. But, particularly the stuff on the gain of function research, I think people want answers there. What did he really know about gain of function research and the lab leak theory? What does he really know about all that as it was being dismissed by mainstream media as a right-wing conspiracy theory? It's just tough because people just don't know what to trust anymore. And even when we see the emails, it's going to get spun. So we'll have to see how the chips fall, but it's a big story.
I think with his book, it's going to be like if you flip it the other direction and read it the other way, it'll be like completely different opinions. Because he changes. Yeah, he changes his opinion so often that it's like, let's just get two of the opinions at least in one book, and then we can do sequels if we need to. Yeah. So the frustrating thing I think in here, well, one of the frustrating things I think in hearing the emails is about being censored, and how he said that publicly, that he didn't feel censored at all during Trump's presidency. He said that in emails, obviously, that he, don't say that I'm being censored, because I'm not. Yeah. But then when the media was pushing him, when Biden was inaugurated during that first press conference, he says, "Oh, I feel so liberated now. I feel free to speak my mind." It's like, so which one is the truth? And that's the frustrating thing I think so many conservatives have felt, is he feels so free to kind of go with the wind of what the media is leading with, whatever that narrative is. Like you said, he was so willing and open to admitting, oh, yeah, I lied about the mask issue. So it's not that I'm saying that all of his motives are nefarious, but when you're lying, whether it's for a good or bad reason, it kind of bursts the bubble of trust that was there. Yeah. So I'm not as inclined to trust him. And I think a lot of people are not really as inclined to trust him. And that's, I think, does a whole lot of damage to the public servants, is because even if they are looking out for our best interest, we're not inclined to trust them when we know that even maybe for good reasons, they've lied to us about stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, when you admit that you're willing to lie for certain reasons, it makes you question, well, we're seeing these, breadcrumbs of evidence about this gain of function research pointing to a Wuhan lab leak, that they were, experimenting on these, dangerous viruses, which they may have been doing for good reasons. There's plenty of legitimate reasons why you would do this research, so that you can improve the science, improve how we fight viruses. So it just looks like that there's a good chance that they were doing this stuff and it got out. And, and so people just, when you're willing to lie, people then will have a hard time trusting you in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what all comes of the emails and from the book. And, I don't know. We'll see if public trust goes in one way or the other with Fauci, with all this coming out. Who knows?
Yep.
So, all right, story number 2. So, former President Obama, he said that if there were to be real evidence of of life on another planet, it would really shake things up here on Earth. He told Ezra Klein that finding life in space wouldn't necessarily change his political views, but he said it could challenge a lot of the philosophies people hold to, particularly their religious beliefs. He said it wouldn't change my politics at all because my entire politics is premised on the fact that we are these tiny organisms on this little speck floating in the middle of space. But no doubt there would be immediate arguments about, well, we need to spend a lot more money on weapons systems to defend ourselves. He said new religions would pop up, and who knows what kinds of arguments we'd get into. We're good at manufacturing arguments for each other. I think that certainly is true. Obama is right about that. I think we are good at manufacturing arguments for one another. So this isn't necessarily, it doesn't perfectly fit in the right or left thing, but it made me curious to look back at some of what Obama has said about his religious beliefs. So in 2009, during his first address at the National Prayer Breakfast, he said he was not raised in a religious home. He talked about how his dad was born Muslim, but became an atheist, and how his mom was skeptical about religion. He said he didn't become a Christian until he moved to Chicago after he spent month after month working with church folks who he said simply wanted to help neighbors who were down on their luck, no matter what they looked like or where they came from or who they prayed to. As a candidate in 2008, he said that he believed, quote, that Jesus Christ died for my sins and that his grace and his mercy and his power through him that I can achieve everlasting life. So Obama, though, did face a lot of criticism during his presidency for not attending church very much. He also famously said before he became president that the U.S. is, quote, no longer a Christian nation. And his administration pushed a lot of social issues, particularly on sexuality, that are kind of outside mainstream Christian theology. So why does it matter? Well, this really isn't an issue of Obama and determining whether he's a Christian or not. I think the reason that this story matters for believers is because we have to be rooted in Scripture so that our faith isn't shaken by whatever information the news cycle might throw at us, including aliens. Interestingly, Dan, in 1998, we wrote about this a couple years ago at Faithwire. Billy Graham said that he could find nothing that would change our essential faith in the gospel if we did discover life on other planets. He said, our Bible is clearly designed for this particular planet with its particular problems of man's sin. When we observe this fact, we are on safe ground. It's not a part of the Bible's message to inform us of what God has done elsewhere. Its message is concerned with earth dwellers, their origin, their reason for existence, the cause of their misery, and the plan for redemption for a fallen race. Graham went on to say that the potential for intelligent life on other planets is either not involved in the sin problem. So either they didn't sin if there is life on another planet, or if they were sinful, God has made satisfactory provision for them. So it's interesting to hear what Billy Graham thinks about the possibility of life on another planet and what it would mean for our faith. So I'm not certain that new religions would pop up like Obama is suggesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'd get a lot of, just like weird things, like people like kind of like just lost people, right? Like that are just like, oh, we gotta worship the aliens. You'd probably get a lot of weird things like that. Maybe that's what he means. But I'm not ready to overreact. I know people are going crazy over a couple of these UFO videos where, again, it just stands for unidentified flying object. Everyone I've seen so far has been, it's intriguing. You wonder what the heck is going on, but they're very grainy. You can't tell what's really going on. They're zoomed in, you don't know that there's like optical illusions. There's all kinds of things that could be happening, and we have no idea. And so I'm not ready to jump on board we're pretty close to figuring it out that we've got other visitors here. I mean, they're just flying objects that we don't know what they are. Somebody might have created some crazy drone thing that goes wild, doing all kinds of weird stuff that we've never seen. I don't know. And so until I see more than a grainy video, I'm not gonna. I mean, it was interesting that Obama like even entertained the question, but I just don't. I'm not there yet.
I have to say that I'm always down for an Area 51 documentary. So I mean, it certainly is a fascinating question. I think it's something that I mean, it would certainly like shake up our beliefs about the world and all of that. But I would hope that as Christians, kind of like what Billy Graham is saying, that it wouldn't really shake the foundation of my faith. Because even if there was life on another planet, if we've talked about this so much, Dan, that we know God is sovereign. So we figure that it didn't come as a surprise to God. So if I'm God's child, it shouldn't shake me too much either. But it certainly is an interesting topic to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I just think back to Independence Day, and the one positive is that maybe finally we could all unite and be like, all right, let's just stop talking about, diversity or whatever, training or whatever else we got going on, and let's just all stop the aliens, right? Like, I mean, I mean, it could be a good unifying thing if we've got an alien attack happening.
I just happen to think that if we have so much trouble getting along with ourselves here on Earth, getting along with humans who look a little bit differently than us, I certainly can't imagine how we would learn how to cohabit with with aliens who potentially look. I mean, if they look like they do in the movies, they're going to have really huge eyeballs.
How funny is that?
And really weird skin.
When we picture it, we picture just what has happened in the movies. I mean, let's just say someone came and imagined like they're completely different, like completely not even close to anything we imagined. That would be funny. I'd be amused by that. But if Hollywood got it right, that would be even weirder.
Yeah, and I just saw A Quiet Place Part 2 the other day, and the alien. I don't know if anybody who's watching has seen those movies, but their alien things make these creepy clicking noises all the time, and they have like millions of teeth in their mouth. So if aliens look like that, first I'm probably gonna pee my pants, and then I'm just gonna run as fast and as far as I can, and I'll leave it to someone else to fight them.
Oh man, that's solid. And with that visual, we're gonna head on into story number 3. All right, there is a new pro-life video out, and very, very interesting. They actually call it an anti-abortion video. This group, Choice 42, which is Laura Klassen's organization, and she, it's one of the more unique and interesting pro-life videos to come along, I think, in some time. And I'm gonna have a clip of it here in a second to give you an idea about it. But Klassen, she's known for a lot of viral videos on this topic. In particular, you might have seen the magic birth canal, which is sort of a sarcastic look at the birthing process and the illogical nature of the viability argument. She's kind of making the point like, not a baby, baby, because clearly there's no logic there in just picking an arbitrary time to say, okay, it's okay to abort now. But Choice 42 has released a new animated video called So You're Pregnant, and it's got a couple 100,000 views already in just the first day or so that it's been up there. And in it, a pregnant mother is faced with the lies, as the statement says from Choice 42, of the pro-choice culture, and overcomes them when she realizes she's been chosen to have her baby and that abortion is indeed murder. The animation is done by a former Pixar level animator, according to Choice 42. So here's a clip I want to give you, because pay particular note to the narrative building here and what they're getting at in this particular video.
For whatever reason, this baby was given to you. You were chosen to be this child's mother. And no matter what's going on in your life, you can rise up and take this on. You can rock this. But right now, abortion is probably going to be suggested, even pushed on you by the people closest to you. They'll tell you it's your best option. They'll tell you to think of your future. They'll say you're not old enough, not young enough, not experienced enough, not financially stable enough, not educated enough. They might even threaten you. The thing is, you're already this baby's mother. This child is already here in the world, living and growing inside you. And what these people are suggesting to you is that you murder your own baby. And yeah, that sounds harsh, but I'm not going to lie to you. Not when your baby's life is on the line. You're the only one who can protect this child. You're not alone, not by a long shot. Fight for your baby, and reach out for help if you need it. We'll help you.
So there you have it. Trey, this one, I mean, obviously we know that the abortion issue is a left-right issue, and I think there's a couple things that I know the left will not like about this video, calling it murder, for one. But I think for, why it matters here, Trey, I mean, because it's a pretty new video, so it hasn't, gotten all the full discourse there online yet. But I just find it very fascinating that they went for you are the only one that can save this baby. You are the one that was chosen to care for this child, and you can do this, and in the video, you can see a picture here of the animation, but if you go and watch it on the Choice 42 website, you'll see that, it's kind of like this, I don't know, like an evil sort of presence, like she's trying to climb the mountain and trying to get away from this presence. So I just thought that messaging and that narrative was different than anything I'd seen before, where they're sort of portraying the woman who chooses life as sort of the hero, empowering her to, you can do this.
Yeah, I think it is encouraging to see that, like, that tack taken, because that is the case, is that a woman who's choosing to go through with the pregnancy and is choosing to have a child, particularly in this cultural moment. Sorry, my dog is is barking at the moment. Like she hasn't made an appearance in a couple days. I think for a woman who is up against this cultural moment right now, when so many are being pushed to abortion and we're normalizing that kind of a culture, so there's kind of it's an act of heroism, I guess, on two fronts, right? Obviously, the main one, that you're choosing to go forward with the pregnancy that you either was thrust upon you for awful reasons, or one that you weren't prepared for because of poor decisions, whatever the case might be. So you're already dealing with that, but then you're also dealing with a culture that's trying to tell you need to get an abortion. That's actually the right thing to do. So it's kind of a physical toll that a woman is going through, and also the emotional toll and the moral toll that she's going through. So I think it's an accurate portrayal that it is a heroic decision, and hopefully it kind of is encouraging to women that, this is a big step, and it is something that shows your strength and doesn't make you weak to go through with your pregnancy, whether you end up keeping the child at the end or giving it up for adoption. I think it's not something we talk about enough. There are so many families desperate to get pregnant and can't, or for whatever reason want to adopt rather than have a child of their own. So the child will get love one way or another if you go down the right avenues. It's an encouraging video, and hopefully will be encouraging to some people who are in this situation.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, it's like the movie Juno sort of was a different portrayal of someone choosing life. Like, you would think if pro-choice activists were really pro-choice, they would have an equal amount of positive videos for either side. But of course, it's very one-sided, and it's just tell us your abortion story about when you got an abortion, how great it was. And you don't see stuff like this that says, hey, look at this. You can be the hero for your child. And they also make no bones about that. That's a living child inside of you. And its life is resting in your hands. So I think just a video I think will resonate, or at least I pray resonates with maybe some young people who would happen to see it, who might be in that situation.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before too, but I think as Christians, the takeaway here for us is we have to be pro-life through the whole duration of the child's life, right? Like, after, we want to advocate for women to keep their children in pregnancy, and then we want to do everything we can as a body of Christ, as a body of believers, coming alongside and doing, okay, what can I help you with in this stage of that child's life? Yeah. And that's, I think, is what the local church is for. That's what the local community of Christians is for, is to come along people in our congregations, or even just in our communities and outside of our congregations, and say, I want you to keep this child. Now, what can I do to help you parent this child well, or give it up for adoption, whichever choice the mother ends up making.
Absolutely.
So, all right, story number 4. So speaking of parenting, Father's Day is coming up, and states are still trying their hardest to convince people to get a COVID vaccine. So West Virginia is doing like the most West Virginia thing they could. They're going to raffle rifles and shotguns off to citizens who get inoculated against the virus. So far, just over 51% of West Virginians have received at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. The state obviously wants to get that number higher, so it's launching quite the campaign. The state is giving away 5 custom hunting rifles and 5 custom shotguns to registered vaccinated people, with drawings taking place on June 20th, which is Father's Day. So the lottery will also give one resident $1 million. Other winners will receive full-ride college scholarships, custom trucks, and lifetime hunting and fishing licenses. So in announcing the campaign, Governor Jim Justice said, we're going to make a few West Virginians millionaires before this is over. Some people will win trucks and scholarships and on, but we've got to get you vaccinated first. Not only are a bunch of people going to win all kinds of great stuff, but by getting vaccinated, it'll protect your life and it'll protect your family and friends all around you. Save a life, change your life. So what's the left saying about this? I don't know that anyone has weighed in on this particular campaign yet, but generally speaking, those on the left are not too keen on guns, although maybe there'll be some grace extended, I guess, because they are very bullish on getting people vaccinated, and that's what this is all about. So what's the right saying? Well, conservatives are, ready to get the pandemic over with, and most are big Second Amendment fans. So this seems like a win-win for conservatives. So, and Jim Justice is a Republican too. So why does it matter? I think this has just been a collective nightmare for all of us, this pandemic. So I'm glad to see at least some places are doing what they can to make it fun. And I'm also glad, Dan, that they're incentivizing rather than mandating vaccination, because I think that's where we need to be, is that we don't need to be mandating people getting this vaccine, but incentivizing them, I'm all for that, because I think that's, the best way to incentivize people is just to give them all the information and leave it up to them to make a private and personal decision. And I guess in West Virginia, if you want to throw in a gun or two, that's okay too.
Yeah, and I have no problem with the incentivizing, right, rather than mandating. I do get a little, I will say, it's kind of like at the beginning of the pandemic, like early on when we started social distancing, and they would show these videos playing to heartwarming music of like somebody going to visit an elderly relative at a nursing home facility or something, and there would be a plexiglass window, and they would like kind of do this awkward hug, hold hand things like in front of the plexiglass, and they would try to, like, that's a reality of what people had to do, fine, but the video would portray it as this like, oh, isn't that sweet and heartwarming? And I'm like, no, don't make me like think this is so sweet and heartwarming. That should anger you that we have to do this, and you should be ready to get it over with as soon as humanly possible. And so, I mean, maybe I'm irrational there, but it's like a similar vibe. Excuse me. It's a similar vibe when I see, sort of the just get vaccinated. It's so fun. We'll give you a gun. Part of me recoils at that, and I don't like it. I mean, I saw there was a gas station chain up here in the Northeast. I saw that are offering a COVID incentive if you get hired, or a vaccine incentive. If you get hired, they'll give you, $500 bonus or something like that. And they're free to do it, but sometimes it rubs me the wrong way. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one. Feel free to at me if you want. At Dan Andros on the Twitters. I'll ignore it like I do most other things. No, I'm just kidding. I'll look at it. But yeah, I don't know. Am I overreacting there? Probably.
Some of it, I think, is just kind of fun. At least they're willing to make it kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just, I think we've all got COVID fatigue, and we're ready just for it to be behind us. So at this point, my thought is like, I mean, if you want to give away guns, whatever, if you want to get vaccinated and you want to give away a cash prize, whatever, the cash prize to me is kind of funny because it's a bunch of states are doing that. And my thought is just, so you're just giving us our own money back to us if we get vaccinated. Right. Because I mean, the lottery money from the state isn't coming from nowhere. Right. It's coming from, tax money that's already been, that we've already given to the state. So we're just, oh, thank you for giving me my money back because I got vaccinated.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if people are able to, you know, if we'll see if this thing goes away. I mean, the daily cases are so low now that hopefully we're just seeing that this vaccine is working and that, you know, things will truly be back to normal. We're seeing all the events get back to pretty much full capacity now. Really great to see like crowds back again. So hopefully that return to normal is actually happening. And you can get Fauci's book if you want to, but then we won't have to see him on TV every day anymore. That'll be a bonus too. So
it will be.
We will see you back here tomorrow. As always, head on over to cbnnews.com and faithwire.com for more news from a Christian perspective. Don't forget to follow the 4 and 3 podcast. God bless. See you tomorrow. Okay. Taping portion over. All right, now we can talk about the real evidence of the aliens that we have. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, all kinds of evidence. It is exclusive to just CBN News and Faithwire.
Here we go.
We're gonna sit on it for a little while.
Oh, I cannot.
Oh man,
go get Piper to calm down over there.
I know. I need to get her to.
Oh, she did.
To just chill.
What happened?
I don't know. It's possible that the mail might have come.
Yeah.
While we were. So I don't know. It's usually nothing. It may or an ant crossed my porch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
my dog's a golden retriever, and you know, golden retrievers, I guess, are known for being, you know, super friendly and very not angry, etc. She has the meanest sounding bark I've ever heard in my life. And I know she's doing it because she's excited, but it terrifies people. And they're like, that's a golden retriever, right? Yeah. And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, but dogs go by. But thankfully, nobody comes by while we're taping because she goes insane.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what Piper's like. She'll start barking. And the reason she's barking is because she's like, she wants to be best friends with whoever's coming up to the door. And they're like, oh my gosh, there's a crazy psycho dog barking right in my face. I'm like, well, good thing is though, she's small, so she's not going to do anything to you.
Yeah. You might have heard there, if you live in the Pennsylvania area in Bucks County, Philly, there was a bear on the loose yesterday. And I guess they haven't caught it yet. But it was just sort of wandering around, and it was just down the road from here. Actually, the news truck one of my friends was on the news because they saw it, and they were interviewing people who saw it. But there was a news truck driving around here yesterday evening asking people if they'd seen the bear. And I was very tempted to pull one of those. You know, have you seen the people that are, I was like, what? And you were like, nah. And do one of these things and it came up and it had huge claws and I knocked it down. And they'd be like, yeah, buddy. Okay. So, but I resisted. I resisted the urge to get a viral TV moment in there on the local Philadelphia news. But yeah, we got
I'm
a bear
sure it was
over here. I don't know where he is. What's that?
I said, I'm sure that was tough to resist that.
Yeah.
That urge. So that's happened here a few times. So I was out of town on vacation at my old apartment complex. There was apparently like 3 or 4 bear cubs just walking around in my in the parking lot of my apartment complex because I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains area. So there are bears here every once in a while. But I was just so bummed because I was like, I've never seen little bear cubs just walking around. And of course it happened to be when I was on vacation. Like, I wanted to see the bear cubs.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Because, they're not going to do anything. They're kind of scared and would run away anyway.
Well, then you go, oh, look, come here, little bear cub. And then mama bear comes in. And then
that'd be the problem. Because I'd want to go and like, oh, let me pet it because I'm stupid. And then here comes mom.
Mama bear.
Like,
that's
oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So if I don't come back later, that means the bear got me. So,
yeah.
There we go.
At least we'll know.
All right, we shall see you back here tomorrow. Adios.